Alright guys, so there's been so much news circulating the Dallas Cowboys over the past week, anything from Dak's contract to the Jamal Adams rumors. So I've brought in my friend Ryan, who is a massive Cowboys fan, and we just kind of talk about anything from Dak's contract to should the Cowboys pursue Jamal Adams. I think the biggest issue for me, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, is just like money in terms of like, because he wants that long deal.
To me, it is a little bit of a connection between why I'm so weary about paying Dak, because I want to be able to pay players like Jamal Adams and not have to be nickel and diming and then maybe losing a Pro Bowl safety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're paying someone I feel is a little bit middle of the pack, maybe a little bit higher than that as a quarterback. $35 million a year, it's just tough to swallow.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I looked at a stat yesterday and it was like quarterbacks that are paid over, I think it's 13 or 14% of the salary cap, like the team's winning percentage is so much lower than the quarterbacks that are under there. And there's a lot of great quarterbacks.
Absolutely. Well, they're all great. Yeah, you know what I mean? They're getting paid. But since getting those contracts, I want to say it's Matt Ryan, Roethlisberger, Wilson, Rodgers, maybe one other quarterback that got Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's new, but none of them have won a Super Bowl post contract.
Crazy, man.
And that's insane, you know, considering the talent of those guys.
So, what do you think? Like, how much do you think Dak deserves? Like, what would your ideal contract? You know, you watch all the Cowboy games. You're a Cowboys fan.
Sure.
How much do you think he's worth?
But my number's 28.
28.
And I
okay.
settled on 28 because if Dak signed for 25, in my mind, I could be like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But as a player, you want to go for 30, sure, I understand that. So let's hit somewhere in that sweet spot. Even toss him an extra $500,000. You know what I mean? Settle on that 28. I think that's a perfect amount. 28 to 30.
Yeah.
32 was kind of always my bubble number as well. 35 when they came out, the original report that we offered him 35 a year. That was a little tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Because his franchise tag's at what, 31? Where's
31.
His 31. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, dude, when I saw 35 and originally the reports they turned that down, I was just like, what more does he want? Like, that's, you know.
Well, apparently the hiccup here is the length of the contract, not the money. Yeah. He wants to essentially re-up, you know. Of course, they want to do. Everybody wants to have the Darrelle Revis. Let's get as many contracts as we can in a career. So the Chris Sims report obviously was ending up false. Sounded honestly spot on what Dak would want as a counter. That last year, being essentially the first year of a new contract. Money wise, being at that $45 million mark. But if that's anywhere possible, that's what Dak's winning, I don't see this deal ever getting done.
That's the thing, is like, you know, again, I have also read that, you know, switching back over to Jamal Adams for a second.
Sure.
You know, if you wanted to get Jamal Adams and if you wanted to sign him long term, you know, the cap space now would need to be kind of sorted by signing Dak long term, because that $31 million right now is just, you know, crushing.
Oh, in 2-3 years, it's gonna look a lot better. Honestly, true. I mean, very, very true. If you see a deal getting done, I feel like you got to get it done ASAP, like you said.
Yeah. So do you see it happening before? I think it's July 15th.
July 15th. I don't see a deal happening.
Okay.
I don't. I see him franchise tagged. I just don't see him having a ton of leverage right now. Post report, a lot of the fan feedback that I'm getting, they are willing to ride with the Red Rocket at $3 million.
Dude, I'm not totally against it either. I love Dak, but I think the Red Rocket can make some noise out in Dallas.
It's attractive. It is attractive. The idea that you can get a lot or even a little bit more than serviceable, which Andy Dalton's more than capable of. $3 million. Say he even earns the incentives of $7 million. Yeah. I mean, obviously the difference is literally multiple Pro Bowl contracts. If you think of $20 million, at different positions, you can get a lot of different guys. I don't know, man. The quarterbacks, it's a tough deal. Because of course, on the flip side, the way the NFLPA works, the next contract is always the biggest contract.
Yeah.
So that's
exactly.
always going to be a tough thing. Also heard Pat McAfee talk about the reports of quarterbacks getting their own pool. As far as the salary cap only essentially going to those other positions.
That would be
which
interesting.
I thought was extremely interesting.
That is really, really interesting. I haven't heard that. I need to look into that. That would be really interesting. Again, I think a very valid point that you bring up is the idea of, would you prefer to have Dak Prescott as your quarterback going forward for the next 3 to 4 years, or would you maybe rather go in a different direction and use that Dak Prescott money to bring in players like Jamal Adams? And I think that's the biggest question right now.
Here's the thing. You bring in Jamal Adams, you bring in, with $30 million, you can do a lot of good for your team. You bring guys like that, there's going to be guys that are going to want to come, in that situation. Maybe you do this Andy Dalton thing for a year. Maybe you even extend him, give him a $20 million deal for a 1-year deal. Yeah. And then you maybe peek around looking at Aaron Rodgers 2 years.
Oh, dude, we know how well Aaron Rodgers plays in Dallas too, dude.
And that's his home.
Yep, that is.
Nobody plays better at that stadium than 12.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you get 2 years. He'll have 2 years left on his Green Bay deal. Mm-hmm. There'll be 2 years into Jordan Love. I could see a little friction growing in that locker room, kind of similar to what happened with Favre. I could see a possible deal getting done.
That would be scary. Even in 2 years, Rodgers is still going to have something left.
I know
it's still Aaron Rodgers.
2 years away, but I feel like you could do a little bit of win now and prepare by playing Dalton instead of paying Dak.
No, I totally agree. Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, man, I just really appreciate you having me on.
Dude, thank you. Guys, make sure you check out Ryan. All of his links will be in the description. Until next time, we'll see you guys soon. Peace.